everyone and welcome to another episode of Rift News. For most countries in the world, this will be the last episode of news before your holidays end. And before you drown in stress and sorrow once again. But why don't we make it easier by looking at some new content Riot has prepared for us. Patch 8.17 has gone live, and with it, Nunu and Willump joined the fight. This was sealed when Riot released their champion spotlight, which they always do minutes before the champion's release. We did talk about their abilities last time, but we didn't really mention the skins. Just like it was with Akali, some of their skins went through major reworks, and you may not even know what skins they were before. When Akali was reworked, everyone wondered where did the Crimson Akali skin go. What they didn't realize is that it was turned into the Infernal Akali. This was done because the old Akali was a simple recolor, so it would be better if it returned as a chroma skin instead. That is, if it ever returns. Well, with Nunu and Willump we got the Grungy Skin. This one kept its name, but it is vastly different and it is not a Elmo reference anymore. And then we have the Sasquatch skin, which before was just brown. At least now it feels more like a trip with Jack Black. While the other skins also got major updates, they all kept their old themes. Besides the new Nunu and Willump and their skins, pretty much every single one of the skins we mentioned last time were released. This includes Divine Sword Irelia, Enduring Sword Talon and their chroma skins, High Noon, Lucian, Thresh and Urgot, all of which got their login screen borders and chromas as well, Mafia Braum also with couple of chroma skins, and even the bonus Lee Sin chromas arrived. Earlier last week, Riot also released the entire Cosmic line with their chromas too. So really, everything got released. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but all the icons, emotes and words we mentioned last time all came to live servers. When it comes to the universe, we got even more lore. It is incredible how well Riot is doing with their stories now. We did already cover the story of Vel'Koz and the Void on our channel, but we are still missing the big story called The Eye in the Abyss. On top of that, Riot just released 2 new short stories for Nunu and Willump. One is called Frozen Hearts and the other is called Stone Cold. Both were released with some pretty amazing pieces of art. And for all of you Gnar lovers, he also finally got a properly updated story. As a bonus, important places from these stories were marked on Runeterra's map, so you can notice a couple of new places around the Frostguard Citadel. Interestingly enough, the map also got rid of the books that mark the adventures of Rise. In Shurima you can notice that his comic is now permanently marked on the map, and the places in Freljord are also there for good. All of these are places from Brand's story. But one thing makes me curious. Most of the places from Rise's cinematic also became permanently marked on the map. We see his encounter with Nasus and the Guardian, his shootout with Misfortune, even his encounter with the Trolls. But curiously, his encounter with the Voidborn Servant in the north disappeared. I really don't know if this went against their explanation of the Void, but it is now gone. Before we have a look at Riot's posts, I quickly want to mention that NA merch store restocked on Braum's XL statues. So both EU and NA merch stores now offer these statues again. All of this is happening as a way to promote Nunu and the Freljord stories. So besides the Ashe statue, Riot is also offering the Nunu Pocket t-shirt, Braum's Bodybuilders t-shirt, and a Freljordian mousepad. And for all of you pin collectors, the Poro Pin Pack 2 is still in stock too. That accidentally rhymed. Also, we've been told that Riot will reveal more of the figures from Series 3, but we still don't know about anything new. The newest one was the limited Earth figure that is still available. So, get it while you can. Now, let's have a look at one of Meddler's posts before we move on to the Ask Riot post we missed last time. When it comes to Meddler, we can expect a lot of data. Some of it may back up changes done to the game, but mostly it is just interesting data. So don't worry, even today we will bring up some graphs. First of all, Meddler mentioned a bug that didn't allow some players to start loading the game before everyone else was already loaded. This essentially doubled the loading time, since that one person had to wait for everyone else to get ready first. As I said, this is a bug and it will be fixed. Riot is aware. It's just that bugs that actually break the game are still priority, so it won't be done immediately. Later in the post, Meddler shared that the team is now mostly working on the next preseason, ranked and Nexus Blitz. But he also mentioned that they might be working on something else that they can't share with us yet. so we might get surprised by something else other than Nexus Blitz in the next couple of months. Then we get into the graphs. These ones show how much win rate increases along with your champion's masteries. In other words, how much are you more likely to win if you play the champions more. In each column there is a span of 50 games going from left to right, and the win rate of course increases as it goes up. Medlar talked about two interesting comparisons. At the beginning we have Pyke and Rengar next to each other. Both got about 9% win rate increase after people played 50 games with them, but the way they got to that point is different for both of them. Pyke's graph is very steep at the beginning. Players had to learn a lot of new abilities straight away. So the big jump at the start is just players learning about the interactions between his abilities. After that, there isn't much to master, so the learning curve calms down. Rengar, however, is the exact opposite. His abilities are pretty easy to understand, but it is hard to master his combos. You need to know when to be defensive or when to go all in on damage. That's why Rengar's curve is pretty even from the start. People understand his abilities straight away, so the mastering part comes early. The other interesting comparison is between Irelia and Jax. Both of them end up in the same point, but Jax starts much higher at the beginning. It's because Jax is very simple and he doesn't have a lot of special interactions. There are only so many different outplays you can do with a leap and a block. Irelia, however, is much harder to understand, so she starts off low but ramps up pretty quickly. But now let's have a look at Nexus and let's go into the Ask Riot. Is Tribunal ever coming back? This simple question was answered by Draggles. We learned a lot from Tribunal when it was around, and it actually became one of the bases for our current models for abusive chats. A player-voted service like Tribunal came with two huge drawbacks that are really tough to get around though. It is slow and inefficient. Manual reviews require pulling those chat logs out to the website, waiting for responses from enough players, and deciding on a penalty from there, where the current automated system can send out penalties in less than 15 minutes. It's also sometimes wildly inaccurate, especially when there was an IP reward per successful penalty, leading to a super innate bias in the system. There's a couple of things Tribunal brought that we know we haven't tackled in a big way, like more focus on trolling and intentional feeding detection, though we are continuing to iterate on how we detect these, and more agency to make it feel like you're really having an impact on unsportsmanlike behaviors. We're making a lot of progress with dodgy chat content and a new name filtering service with our automated models. But we do still need you to hit the report button when you see bad shit to help us gather information on what you don't want to see in League. It really does make a difference. So, we shouldn't expect it to come back anytime soon. Will you return Face of the Mountain in the future? We have Twin Shadows and Shurelias, but no Face of the Mountain. This one was answered by Fearless. Face of the Mountain's biggest sticking point was that it frequently felt like a less strong version of other defensive items, most noticeably Locket. At the same time, Face of the Mountain allowed for some really egregious shield stacking when used with Locket. Twin Shadows and Shurelias have less direct overlap with other items, so there was more space to bring them back. That doesn't mean that we will always be happy with those two items, or that we will never find a version of Face of the Mountain that we could bring back. But that is the reasoning we have had so far. Is Runeterra flat? This one was taken by Bioluminescence. No, it's an oblate spheroid. If you were to sail off the western side of the map, you might eventually arrive at Bilgewater in the east. But there's a lot more of Runeterra than just what we have seen so far. In other words, there is still the other hemisphere. Let's hope for some dragon people. And the final question, what do you call a large group of Poro? Pack, herd, or rather swarm? I believe this question was asked on Reddit about 3 years ago. Nevertheless, Cathlog answered. A group of Poros is known as Fluffed, which is possibly the most adorable collective noun in all languages of Runeterra. For many wary inhabitants of Freljord, retiring to greener pastures and becoming a Poro herder would be a dream come true. But that's it for this episode of Rift News. I'll try to put this show on a proper schedule, instead of releasing a video every third day, and every third video being news. But we will see how it goes. Anyway, if you like this video, feel free to rate it and subscribe for more lore and news. The links to our social media, Twitch merch and P.O.Box will be in the description. Don't forget that we have a lore stream every Sunday on Twitch. Some people still don't know. Of course, massive shout out to our patrons for going the extra mile, you guys are awesome! And with that, thank you all so much for being here and for your support, you know I really appreciate it! And as always, thank you come again! Bonus thank you to Chaos Scarecrow, you miserable lovely thing of a person. I'll always remember you.